Hello to everybody. My name is Dolphine Gumba, Dawa, as you have heard. I'm from Kenya, in a town called Kisumu. I'm so happy that I'm back to Colby for the third time. Thank you to Colby College. I want to talk about something being a gift to the world. Be a gift to the world. I'm running a program of caring for the children back at home, the children who are orphans and vulnerables. My orphans are orphaned through HIV/AIDS. And the reason why I started the project was because back in 1995, my first son was sick of HIV/AIDS. He was a young man of 27 years old. He had completed his schooling and he had started working in an American research center which is just next to my home. And he was dismissed from work because they found he was sick. And so during this time of his sickness, my younger child, who was 14 years old at that time, ate some food which was poisoned, and he died after 2 days. So those are the only sons that I had. And now during this time, this boy was still sick after I had buried the other one. He also passed on within the same year. And during this time, I was a teacher in a primary school employed by the government. And so after the death of this elder son, I went so much into depression that I could not continue working. So a vision came to me that though my children are passed on, the only sons that I had, and at that time I had 2 daughters and they had both married. One of them is this one, the younger one. I decided that whether life was so difficult for me and I had lost my sons, I also knew children whose parents had died, passed on because of HIV/AIDS, who are also miserable, that I was miserable of losing my sons and they lost their parents. So I started looking for them, bringing them into my home. And I started with these boys. The 7 boys were the first. This was the first house I had as my living house because I was teaching somewhere. And so I had just built that house temporarily because I had bought that land, and this my daughter wanted to do her wedding. And so our culture, I needed to have somewhere where the pre-wedding was going to be done, and also paying of the dowry, as back at home, the girls do not just go for marriage without dowry being paid. So only after 8 months of her wedding, the younger son, who was a follower, passed on through food poisoning. So this place was still very new to me when I was there as a mother who did now have a child, and I was now alone in that house. My husband was still working somewhere where we were, because both children died when we were just outside, not in the home. Somebody was taking care of the home. I founded this project, which is called the Coronado Faith Educational Center. And as I'm talking, I have 200 children under my care. 34 stay with me in my house, and 40 are in high school. 160 learn in this school within my compound because I decided to convert my compound into a school. Since back at home, I believe the Kenyans who are here had that boy saying is a Kenyan. The Kenyans value very much sons, and if you're a woman without sons, it's like you are allowed to just go to the family. So I decided that now I had used money to buy this my piece of land, better I leave it for the children who are suffering. So I converted it into a school and also my living place. So right now I run that school with 200 children under my care. At that time when we started the project, my source of income was only brick molding because Kenyan government, somebody leaving work without retirement age, there was nothing I was going to get. So I left work without anything. Then I started molding bricks, which I had just learned some years back when I was teaching at the border of Kenya and Tanzania, and I found Tanzanian women molding bricks. So I decided to learn that so that maybe in future I could mold and build my own house. I didn't know all the problem would become, and then I started molding that brick as source of my income. So I went on like that with brick making and selling, using part of the money for food, using the part of the money for even school fees. And my new life was very difficult for us because when you mold a brick, you leave it, you treat it, you leave it to dry up. It's when you start looking for wood to bake it, so that it's when you start looking for a buyer, which takes many months. So strong tea became my chief food with these children. But as you saw them, the 7, they were so happy to be in that home where there was peace and love and teaching, that I was teaching them to forget what they had seen, because some of them had passed through the hands of relatives who were very cruel to them. So a time came that I met this lady here through a women organization worldwide. I just bought a certain book, somebody gave me that book, a directory, and it was, I was looking for how I could get donors. And then when I asked this lady, she told me that you can go and photocopy this book and return it back to me very immediately because I need it. And my daughter was doing printing work somewhere in Kisumu, and when I went to her, I told her to print for me, to photocopy for me. She felt that I was wasting money. I told her I need this book, you photocopy it for me. Then I just asked her how much. Then she told me 930, and I paid her. So I ran back to take that book to the owner. At night I started searching for the names. This is where I met my friend Grace, who was a member of the Welcome Women Worldwide. It is an organization whose headquarters in England. So I wrote to her. And I invited her to come to Kenya to visit me. Fortunately enough, she came in January 2006. And then she saw the work that I was doing. When she came back here, she convinced Colby College to call me for a talk. And I came here in September. And that was where life started changing for me and my large family. When I went back home, the first money Colby gave me, I went back home And you can see how I was starting to get it. When I went back home, this was what I started. I started selling dry maize. I could bring it from Busia, Uganda, or I could look for the lorries which were coming from Eldoret or Nakuru to get at a fair price and sell to the local people. Through this selling of maize, I found that now I could eat better than I used to. Then I found that my compound is small, and I want these children to learn here, because taking them to public school was a problem to me because I didn't have money, and there were some levies that I had to pay for them at school. So what I did, I went to a bank, my former bank where I used to get my salary. I took a loan. I came and paid to my neighbor who had a piece of land connected with my land. Then I started paying off this loan. I paid the loan off and I finished. Then I went on with my sales of maize. So that money that I came with from Colby enabled me to be paying the loan back and also eating with my children and getting some money to pay for the school fees for the high school. Now I stopped doing the brick making. Then fortunately enough, during this, my first trip here, Grace, with her friend who was working here in Colby, called Suzanne, introduced me to a lady, this lady called Alice. And I gave Alice my story. She even took me to a trade fair, ground fair, somewhere. And I was like, hey, how can I carry all this food to Kenya? I was so happy seeing what the farmers were doing. So, Grace came back in 2007, January again. And when she came back, because when she came back in January, she found there were some very good changes. When she came back, she convinced Colby again to call me, to invite me. I came again in 2008 early. Then I spoke again. Now when I came, I found that my friend Alice had also, with some other people, formed a non-profit organization called Ripple Effect Project. So I met Alice again. And she collected so many clothes and gave me when I was going back to take to the children. The Colby gave me money again. When I went, more money was put to boost my grain selling, and again, I decided to go to bank again. I went to the bank, borrowed another money. Again, bought another piece of land, which was also adjacent to my compound on the other side. That is where now the volunteer house is built on. I tried very much and paid off this loan through hardship, because this is the money that is caring for the children, food and everything, and food and school fees. So here we started connecting also with Ripple. Then when I had finished this loan, I took another loan, now the third loan. I went for another loan because I was seriously looking for a farm, a land farm. I didn't have anywhere to farm, to get food. So I needed a piece of land near the lake because my place is very dry. I needed where I could irrigate even when it was very dry. So I managed to get that piece of land, and the money I got from the bank, I paid that loan. Now when I connected with my friend Alice and I told them I had acquired that land and I paid it with the money that I got from the loan, the Ripple came up to offset the loan that I had. And I was very grateful. Now people came in and they took over now school fees. I remained with the responsibility of feeding these children and struggling at the farm to make ends meet so that I could get now food from the farm. It was still very difficult. Now I placed my request to Alice and Ripple if they could give me some oxen and a plowing tool to make life a bit easy. So the Ripple gave me money for 2 oxen and for a plowing tool. I went and bought it. My young men who are helping me at the farm really tried, but life was still difficult. After 2 years, when the oxen had grown so much big, I traded in them and added some money from my small business and bought 7 oxen. That now, if they are supposed to be put 4 or 6, and then there is a very good force, and then now one remains as spare. Life became so easy. The Ripple now came in fully. They provided us with water pump, pipes for irrigating the land. The Ripple now, since we didn't even have clean water, we were using very dirty water that most of the time the children were very sick. They came in and drilled for us a deep water well, which that now we have very clean water everywhere is tap water. So also Ripple built for us clean sanitation for the children. And right now, they are constructing a boys' dorm, which I think, and also there was a time here that there was a serious flood in Kenya. This is the boys' dorm. Our school building, as you saw the first frames that started the school, definitely it was mud wall. The whole thing went down. Luckily enough, the children had gone home, so no child was injured. The children who stayed there were in my house. So I asked the Ripple, is when they built for us the tin, this one. So right now, my children, you see, they are happy. They are being served with beans and chapati. Chapati, if I talk about chapati, my fellow Kenyans know about chapati. So life has really changed for us because of this lady who connected me all around like this with Colby and many other people. I say thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody, the Colby, Alice, Grace, the Menas. The same money for Colby made me dig fish ponds, 2 fish ponds, one for tilapia and one for catfish. And this same money for Colby, the first trip, I bought a dairy cow I named Grace. The second trip, I bought a dairy cow I named Alice. So, I didn't have cows. By the time I was coming here in 2007, even a chicken I didn't have. I have now chicken, I have pigs, I have sheep, I have goat, I have quails, I have juniper. Rabbits? Rabbits? I have rabbit. So, at least for my food security, I have. But I want it to grow. So, in that our farmland, I planted 6,000 eucalyptus trees. Unfortunately, after just one year, I saw them drying up. When I went to check, I found the termites had really destroyed them. So I'm really, because that was my initial plan that trees could sustain the school and plus the fish ponds. So I'm welcoming whoever has any knowledge about fishing, fish farming, and the knowledge how to get rid of the termites. I welcome you at the center. I leave for my daughter to talk about the dorm house, the dorm house for the volunteers, and how you can come reach us, and also the farming for sustainability. Thank you.
Talk about this. I see some people shaking their heads. Oh, my bad light. Yeah. Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you very much for being here today and to come and listen to us speak and hear more from us. My name is Pamela Abila. I am Mama Dolphine's fourth child. I look bigger than her. I'm glad to be here today. As a matter of fact, this is my first trip out of East Africa, far away overseas into the United States. And I'm glad to be here today to speak to you and to see your warm faces. I can see some of you smiling. That's really nice. Thank you. I wish to remind all of us that when you think all is gone, something is left. Not everything is gone. Dolphine really thought all was gone by losing her sons. I think she forgot she still had 2 daughters. And I don't blame her for it, because the society or the community has put it that way, that if you don't have a son, then you are more or less not very much. I think it's connected with wealth. The Kenyan boy can confirm that. You know, when you have a son, you are valued in the community. So, having only been left with 2 daughters who are already bought, she just talked about paying dowry. It feels like you're being bought by somebody else. So they're already gone, so she was alone anyway. But then, an idea is as powerful as death. And where death existed, an idea that got so powerful today has life blossomed. Because where there were no children because of death, today there are 200 children feeling very lively and having a lot of life. So do not throw away your idea, however small it is. It would definitely change lives and move mountains. You're young, please value your ideas. They are good. This is just to remind you that Mama Dolphine has lots of memories for October. I think I'm another memory of October. having to come with her daughter to the United States in October. She was actually born in October. She lost her first son in October. She lost her second son in October. She lost her mother in October. So her Octobers are packed. It has memories. And today, she has brought her daughter to the United States in October. At least, that sounds good. It's not a loss. What you think is a loss can be life and can give tremendously to other people. When she was here, she's just spoken about how she has gotten into farming and how farming, as a matter of fact, farming has now become the backbone of the center because that is where they get their food. It is not enough with at least 200 mouths to feed against a 7-acre of land. It's not really still much enough, but at least they can't go hungry because there is production. Thanks to Judy for your invitation of Will Allen, because I was already in the United States. And through her, we got a chance to attend that talk. I'm going back to Kenya a changed person with different ideas and ways to improve our way of farming. So at least, as somebody else is receiving from me, I've received so much. And I'm going back with it. And that is life. What you see by there is the lake. And this farming is going on. We need to improve this. Thanks to Ripple that made this possible. Because Kisumu County as an area, and even this part of the farming land, which is 2 hours away, 2 hours drive away, is very hot. And close to the lake, the soil is sandy, mixed, loam, sandy. So even when it rains away very fast. And therefore you have to introduce other ways of making your crops survive. So Ripple was able to give us water pump. And that's the work of water pump. If you see that maize really looking good, that's the work of water pump, which of course we intend to upgrade it to solar powered water pump so that we are able to reduce the cost of farming, because the fuel-powered water pump, you have to dig deep into your pocket to buy the fuel. So we have lots of sun, free. I think we can tap into that so that everything becomes manageable. And that's all about sustainable ways of doing things in farming. We are actually aggressively following up on a good connection with Bill Allen so that we have better things introduced. So that nothing goes away when you know it can bring good change. Not necessarily to you, but to the people around you. Because when you change the lives of people around you, you are actually changing your own life. When you empower people around you, even with food, through farming, tomorrow when you are down and you can't go farming again, and you don't have food, you can be social and bring food to you. So by changing their lives, you're actually changing your own life. And the fulfillment that it comes with, just to go out and see other people getting it nice because you introduced it to them is fulfilling enough. And it gives you a lot of satisfaction and happiness. I'm very sure that when Alice is seated here today, and when Grace is standing here today, even though they don't live in Kenya, they don't live in Corando, but inwardly they are happy of the changes that they have been able to make to have those children be happy today and have some food to feed on. It makes them happy. At least when they are sad, they can think of things that can make them happy, and that revives their life. I can say that I recognize Colby as an institution for playing a big role in Corando, because their invitation brought in the connection to Alice, who thought a better way of helping, and has brought other people to connect with the rainbow. You're bringing Dolphine to the United States, or to May, gave her a connection to Rotary, where she got nominated to be a Rotarian. With the people who are helping her work, one of these people was my father and I. And we got to join Rotary and start Rotary. I am a past president of the Rotary Club that we started, served for 2 terms. Today, for my work in Rotary as a president, through Corando, that came to me, through Colby, it was recognized. And the county government of Kisumu has given me a job to work within Kisumu County as a monitoring and evaluation person to address mainly the issues of food security in the whole county, because it is not only a problem with Corando as a center, it is a problem in the whole community. I am sure if Colby never made the first move, the potential that is now being tapped by the Kisumu County wouldn't have been realized. So somebody else has to start something somewhere to change a whole chain of lives. This is a dome house. You can see the children very happy in front of this dome house, which has come to be because a volunteer was passing by and came in and got accommodation for about 2 weeks. He is a German, and therefore getting free accommodation, I think it is just so much for somebody coming from Germany or United States. And always be good to people, and you get the goodness of people. He went away, and about 3 years later, he's back. And he says, this is how I want to give back. So he has fundraised by himself. He's been putting up this with the locals around, working tirelessly. In fact, as we are here, he's back there. We told him, be in charge. Take care of these children until we are back. But it's called a volunteer house. It's going to be taking in 8 people at one go. Who are these volunteers? They are people like you who want to have an extension of their studies, who want to volunteer to give into the community through agriculture, farming, teaching, call it, name it. You are very much invited. Think of it I can assure you, you'll find it nice in Kenya. It's not as cold as Maine. In Maine, I'm almost freezing. I was surprised yesterday it was below 0, negative, and I was like, oh, I'm like in a refrigerator. But in Kenya, you'll feel like next to the sun. So, and it's warm throughout the year, so you don't need to worry about the diverse or extreme change of weather. And that means you don't have to think about, when do I go to Kenya? So, because I don't want to be there when it is cold. It's warm throughout. So I wish to take this opportunity to welcome all of you, because all of you, as I see you here today, have a potential, have a way that you can give back. Even when you just come to visit us and you do nothing, we will be happy when you come visit us and you do nothing, because you know why? We shall have been living knowing very well that we have given into your life, because what you shall have seen, I believe it will be able to change your life somewhere. You'll never be the same. And therefore, feel most welcome to come to Kisumu. Having been done by a white, as we call them, I'm dark skin, you're white skin. He's taking care of the white standards, and therefore, don't worry about the white standards in the dome house. At the top, it is all open with an umbrella of glass. You watch the sun, you watch the stars, you watch the moon 24/7. What an experience. Feel most welcome. And I thank you all. Be blessed.
I know that students would be happy to answer questions. If you want to just raise, these are the contacts to stay in touch or to get to volunteer. But if you have questions, please direct them to one or the other speaker, or just come down if you want to chat. Some of you may have to run off to other things, but we're very glad that you're here.
If you think you're not loud enough, I can bring this close if you have a question.
Oh, I can be loud, don't worry. I come with my own speaker. Yes. I'm interested in the fish farm. You said tilapia and catfish, but then you planted eucalyptus trees, and the eucalyptus trees were supposed to be part of the fish farm, and the termites got into the trees. I want to know a little bit more about what needs to be done with the fish farm and the trees.
Actually, the trees were supposed not really to be part of the fish farming, but the trees were done to be part of an income-generating activity for the center. And so when the termites invaded them, it is like it dropped, it flopped. I believe you don't have termites in Maine because I think it's too cold for them to survive.
No, we have carpenter ants. We have things that eat the wood that you have to treat the house.
Oh, the bear. Okay. Most of our woods don't grow naturally. They are planted, so they are not indigenous. Like the ones I see around here, they're indigenous. They grow by themselves, and these exotic type of trees are. They really take time to manage. So the termites actually invaded them back.
I have one other question. How are eucalyptus trees an income generating phenomenon? I'm curious because we think of eucalyptus as house plants, and so it's just...
Good question. when you saw the first classrooms,
Yes.
the mud classrooms, most of our houses are built of mud. And when we are building them, we use wood and mostly eucalyptus trees are used to build these mud houses, do the roofs. Apart from that, the eucalyptus trees, there is this species that she grew that are used by the Kenya Power and Lighting Company for the lines, the power lines. They get them into treatment, they treat them, and then use them. So you come to Kenya, our power lines, although they are now graduating into concrete poles, but they are all eucalyptus poles. Yep.
The other thing is they grow very fast as far as harvesting.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the children at the center, where they come from, what they do while they're there, and what they do when they leave?
Okay, the children from the center, a bigger percentage comes from that very community. And this is a community that is found along the, it's on the highway, Kisumu-Busia highway. That is a highway connecting Kenya and Uganda to Congo, Zaire. And so we have lots of trucks traveling from Mombasa to Uganda, being a landlocked country, and to Congo and all that. So Kisumu, actually not very far from where we are, within that community, there is a base for them where they keep stopping for a few days because they can't drive throughout. And in their process of stopping, of course, as men, they go doing their business in the community, and this has contributed to the high infection of HIV in this community, and therefore the children being orphaned due to that. Some of the children are from Kisumu County, yes, but a little far off community. What they do is that we take them in at the age that we take them in, not a specific age, because we have those who are as little as 4 or 5 years, and we also have those who are over 20 years old. Some of them came from child-headed homes, whereby they don't have anybody to go back to, and therefore they have a home in Korando Center. They stay there. We take them to school, up to college level, up to, of course, where one can reach. And you know, children are children. Not all of them go through with education, but some of them go through with education. When you look at our clips, some of them, you saw some teaching in classroom. Most of our teachers at the center are our old students who have come back to give back to the brothers, as we call them. Some of them are still in the university, like we have some doing their bachelor's in education. There is another one doing his bachelor's in civil engineering. But when they are on long holidays, anytime they are free, they are back to the center. They contribute into the teaching of this, because of the little ones, because the center we have is a school, yes, but it's registered as a non-formal education center. Non-formal education center is in between private and public school. It's not public, it's not private. But the government allows it some special, I call it special, yeah? It's special because they are allowed to go to school. It's like, you don't have school uniform, just come, we'll accept you. You don't have books, come. You don't have a bag, come. You don't have shoes, come. You don't have a shirt, still come. Because we want to give you education that will change your life.
I just want to, from an American point of view, when I was visiting, my friends back home said, oh, the poor AIDS orphans, and they're expecting sickly children. But the children at the center are mostly healthy. It's their parents that died of AIDS. And I watched children that had no toys, no books, and not a lot of play area, but they had each other. And they giggle, and squabble and do just like our kids. Except they don't have the toys we have. So a lot of the things are not that different when you get down to children with a family of caregivers instead of mommy and daddy.
But even the mommy and daddies don't give toys. As a matter of fact, I was not brought up in toys. There were no toys to play around with. I don't know if they had.
I can tell why.
Oh, yes. So having a toy is not a big deal for a Kenyan child. Because I think the lifestyle is so strenuous that the first thing for the parent is, I go look for food, not a toy. You cannot sleep on an empty stomach, but at least you can go to school and sleep well without a toy.
Another wonderful thing is the children's teeth and health, if they have food, is healthier than our kids. They're very physically active and they don't get much sugar. Until they grow up and drink Kenyan tea.
Yes, as a matter of fact, let me make you laugh. Last week my tooth got pulled out in Waterville. Oh, you see. And there is a question I was asked. Do you go for regular checkup for the tooth? And I was like, what do you mean? Do you do that? No. I mean, it's a big deal to you to have your teeth checked periodically. Not with Kenyans. Not even regular medical checkups, or, I go for full medical checkup annually. No. You treat yourself as you fall sick, and life continues. Don't take some of the things you have here for granted. They're actually a blessing to you. Some people don't have the privilege of enjoying some of these things. We call them extra, because what is basic to us is getting the food and going to school. If you can get food, go to school, that's good enough. You don't worry about the toys, the medical checkups. Our children eat a lot of silverfish. Who knows silverfish? Silverfish, omena. We call them omena. You know omena? It's a small fish, silver. It's very, very nutritious. Actually, it's used a lot in treating malnourished children. But because we fish it from the lake, we get it, so we feed on it. So those are some of those problems that need to take us to the hospital. We are healthy, I would say so. Yeah.
This is just a comment. When you were speaking and you used the phrase peace, love, and teaching, it just filled my heart up, because right now in the United States we're dealing with headlines that tell us how much strife and conflict there is in our public school system and how much pain. And when you say peace, love, and teaching, that's what we need here. And I want to thank you for saying that.
Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, in our national anthem, the Kenyan national anthem, there is a verse that says, peace, love, and unity. Isn't that so? So people want to observe that as much as possible, even though things that bring problems here and there never fail to be. They come. But even though they do, we still find our way back into peace. And it is more important to have peace, love, unity, than even good food. Because peace, love will keep your body living. Food, lots of food with stress, strife, and everything will keep you unhealthy because it will be eating you from the inside and killing you slowly by slowly. It's a slow poison. And therefore, we prefer to give them peace and give them love.
If there are no more hands, I would invite those who'd like a little personal conversation to come down and greet the guests.
Let's give some love.